Hello and welcome. I'm Cailen Ascher, your host for the Clarity Confessions, the show where you come to find out the top secrets of entrepreneurs. And today on the show, we have Marie Poulin. Marie is a digital strategist who helps purpose-driven business owners bring digital products and programs to life. She is the founder of Digital Strategy School, where she helps designers transition into strategists by creating more value for their clients and integrating strategy into their workflow. She's also the co-founder of Okie Dokie, a company she runs with her partner Ben, where they provide consulting and technology services to entrepreneurs wanting to create more impact by translating their work into online courses. And I am so excited to have her on the show today. Welcome, Marie.
Thanks for having me.
Of course, of course. So I know I gave a little bit of your backstory, but I'd love to hear from you more about how you got started on this entrepreneurial path.
Yeah, so I used to work as a web designer at a studio, very small agency. My boss was amazing. I learned everything I know about business from him in the first couple of years. So I worked there for about 4 years, and I got to see kind of how he ran meetings and how he talked to clients and how he would actually run a project from start to finish. Learned so much from him. Never saw myself as an entrepreneur. That was not something that I ever thought I was capable of, believe it or not. But after about 4 years, I started to feel that itch of wanting a little bit more control over the kind of projects that I was working on. So even though I loved my boss and I loved the work that I was doing, I just wanted a little bit more freedom and a little bit more control. So it was a scary leap, but I decided to confront my boss about it. And I said, look, I have a lot of freelance happening in the evenings and weekends. And I think I want to make the leap to running my own business. And he was so supportive, and he said, no problem, let's move you to working 3 days a week. And that gave me 2 days a week to actually start working on my own thing, which was an amazing transition to be able to do that. So it was scary, but those few months of working 3 days a week in office and 2 on my own really, really helped smooth that transition out. And that was about 6-7 years ago, and I haven't looked back.
That's amazing. And it's one of those, I think this is a great lesson just to interject, is that you never know what's possible until you ask. And the fact that you were brave enough to confront your boss and then he gave you that space to start building your business, that's amazing. And so many people would just assume the answer was no and not even ask.
I had such a good relationship with them. I just thought I have nothing to lose by asking. And so just keeping that relationship really friendly and open was huge. Because even once I did make the leap, they were still sending work to me for the next year to 2 years. So they really helped kickstart my career that way. So it was amazing.
Wow, that's really awesome.
Yeah, I feel very lucky.
To have people like that on your team. That's really cool.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So before we dive into our conversation for today, I like to kind of break the ice with the rapid fire clarity confession questions. So are you ready for those?
I'm ready.
Okay, so first question, is your work aligned with your purpose?
Yes, definitely.
Describe your purpose in 10 words or less.
My purpose is to activate other people's potential.
Beautifully put. So when did you find your purposeful business?
I'd say probably a couple years ago at age 30.
And how did you find it?
Having the courage to take a chance.
What makes you feel the most successful?
The relationships I have with my clients.
And what personal practices or self-care do you regularly make time for?
Rock climbing is huge for me. I try to climb 2 to 3 days a week. Cooking is definitely my sanctuary, and I always make time for reading.
Me too. Cooking and reading. Not the rock climbing for me, but to each his own. So what is the best thing, in your opinion, about being an entrepreneur?
It's the freedom to choose how I spend my time.
And what's the worst thing about being an entrepreneur?
I think it's really hard to turn your brain off. So I'm always thinking about my business, even when evenings, weekends, whatever. It's really hard to turn my brain off.
Yeah, I agree. Same here. And lastly, what is one word that sums up your life's purpose?
Activate.
Oh, that's a good one. I've not had anyone use that one yet.
Ooh,
I like it.
Awesome.
Yeah. Oh, that's lots of fun. Okay, so I'd love to continue the conversation and ask you, what did your first year in business really look like?
It looked like putting out fires all the time. I had way more work than I had time for. So I was still learning previously working at the studio, my boss was the project manager. So he was the one that kind of decided how many projects we had on the go. So I was being told, what my tasks were. So suddenly having to, create my own schedule, my own time was pretty tricky. So it just sort of felt like I was working 24/7 and paying my dues, if you will. So it was all good learning experience, but it was definitely a wild first year.
Yeah, I feel like it's always one extreme or the other. It's either totally overloaded with clients and like pulling your hair out, or where are the clients? There's nobody here. And so, yes, you were the former. And I think you had mentioned to me that it was because you felt like you were undercharging was one of the problems.
Yes. Again, like my boss was the one that would, set the budgets before. And so now I'm taking a wild guess. I'm like, well, I'm only one person and I don't have that much experience. I guess I can't charge that much, but then I need more projects to actually pay the bills. And it's a vicious cycle. But I think in the beginning, you don't necessarily know your value. And so, pricing is an art, right? It's so hard to, in the beginning, understand how much you're worth or how much your work is worth. So that was definitely a struggle for me, for sure.
Yeah, it is really hard to find that sweet spot of feeling like you can really deliver that value, but also feel comfortable in that sales conversation with clients and saying your number. And if you're not confident in that number, they're never going to buy it.
and that stuff takes time, right? It just takes doing the work. And so there's no fast track, I think, for going through that sort of mucky beginning.
No, you just got to do it. I mean, you learn by doing. It's, you could go to school and pay hundreds of thousands of dollars, or you could just, get your feet wet and start doing it and learn that way too.
Definitely.
So what are you most proud of in your life and in your business at this moment in time?
Yeah, I'm really proud of the community that I created through my signature program, Digital Strategy School. The students are amazing. Even just taking the leap to actually release it into the world was probably super scary. I just thought, are people going to buy this? This is geared at my peers. It's people that are in similar businesses as me. Are people actually going to pay for this level of mentorship? And it was probably the most terrifying thing that I ever did, but it also was the most rewarding thing that I have ever done. And the community is amazing. So it's kind of flipped my whole business model on its head, and I'm really proud and really grateful of what it's become.
That's really amazing. And that is a challenge when you're marketing to your peers. That's not everybody's ideal client. A lot of people mistake their peers as their ideal client. That's a whole other problem. But that would feel, I know for me, I kind of shy away when I get approached by people who want to work with me that I've looked at as a peer. And I'm like, oh, can I really step up and offer you something of value in this coaching experience that we're moving into together? But
when someone you look up to applies to work with you, and you're like, what? But your work is amazing. So a lot of that imposter complex stuff comes up. Like, can I deliver? Like you said.
Yeah. I'm sure you found that you have risen to the occasion and beyond. That tends to be the case.
Definitely. We see all the messy behind the scenes, right? And so we judge ourselves by that. But no, it's been amazing.
Yeah. Oh, that sounds like a really neat community, a really neat process too. Something I've not seen anybody else offer out there.
Yeah.
So what is the best piece of advice that you've ever received?
I actually have two. One is kind of business related and the other is kind of life related. So one is write the sales copy before you create the product. So many people create their products in isolation and they, present it out into the world and crickets chirping because they haven't actually figured out if people are willing to put money down for it. So even when I was first creating Digital Strategy School, I put out a call, I posted in a few Facebook groups, and I actually reached out to people individually who I thought were a perfect fit. And I said, I have an idea for this thing. This is kind of the format that I'm thinking. This is what it's going to look like. Here are the results. Are you interested? So I gathered that interest first, long before I even touched a word of content. So that was huge, huge for me. And the other piece of advice or kind of statement that's really stuck with me is you teach people how to treat you. And I think that applies in like every part of our lives, business. If, like you said, if we're not standing confidently, if we're not behaving confidently, people don't treat us like a leader or an expert, right? So we send those subconscious signals to everybody. And I think that piece of advice has really, really stuck with me.
Those are both such wonderful little takeaways for people out there. I mean, I think the first one talking to your community, talking to your clients before you create things for them. I mean, it just logically makes so much sense, but so many people do it backwards. They create this beautiful, what they think is a beautiful little gem of a product or an offer, and then they put it out there and everyone's like, huh? I don't get it. Why did you make this? Like, what's the point? What's the deal? Do I even want this?
Or maybe it's interesting, but they're not willing to pay for it too, right?
Exactly. You didn't find that the right mix of the product. Maybe it's way too big and all-encompassing and you need to pare it down, or it's too small and niche and you need to scale it up a little. It's, it makes so much sense to just talk to your people. Be like, hey, this is what I'm thinking about. What do you think? Can I get your feedback? If you're, have something small put together after you've talked to them, run it by more people, see what they're thinking about it, just keep it in conversation. That just makes so much sense. But so few people do it.
Definitely. Like, you can't treat your ideas like these precious little babies. Like, you have to, I'm all for launch fast, fail quickly, learn from your mistakes, and just keep moving on and iterating and make it better in version 2, version 3, but kind of get it out rough and ready.
Yeah. That done is better than good sometimes. Or done is better than perfect. So I think that's where we need to be. I'm reading Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert. And I'm just, everything we're saying right now, I'm hearing, echoes in that book of the same kind of teachings. Just like, get your work out there. Don't treat it as being so precious and delicate. Just put it out there and let it be had, and get feedback, get ideas, and be in flow with the ideas. Really cool. So what was the single biggest obstacle on your path to success, to where you are now?
I would say self-doubt, the imposter complex, all of those inner critics and inner voices. So as I said before, when I was putting out my work into the world, I thought, are my peers going to pay me for this? What are they going to think when I ask them for money? I was so worried about how it would be perceived. And people were so excited in the end. So it was like, oh, what was I thinking? So, I get into that trap of just kind of, the self-talk doesn't stop me, but it does slow me down sometimes.
Yeah. And so what do you do to get past it?
That's a great question. I actually have a compliments folder. I don't know if you do this, but it's something that one of my coaches recommended. And so I have an Evernote notebook called Compliments. And anytime someone thanks me for something or compliments me, I will send it to the Evernote compliments folder. Sometimes it's a screen cap of a Facebook message that somebody sends me. It could be an email someone sends me, and I forward it all there. And so whenever I have self-doubt, I just go and I visit the compliments folder, and I remember why I'm doing what I'm doing and who I'm impacting. So it's a good way to check in and remind yourself of the impact that you have on people.
Yeah, I keep track of results. Anytime I get a testimonial or an email that have some results in it, that when I get into that place of, oh my gosh, can I really do this? Can I really deliver? And I read my clients' results, I'm like, yes, they are getting results. Yeah, exactly. My little pump up, my cheerleader. So what are you most excited about right now?
So my partner and I are building a software as a service application. So that's launching first thing in the new year in January. So that's pretty exciting, because we made the decision that he wouldn't work for a year and he would work full time on this application. So I've been sort of supporting the business while we were sort of investing our time in creating this product. So it's a bit of a gamble, but we're very go big or go home people. So it's like, we got to do this. Let's try it out.
Oh, how exciting. Oh, wow. That's really cool. And so, this kind of piggybacks on that, but what does the future hold for you? I mean, looking out even further, 3-5 years in the future. It's
so hard. I feel like my business changes so much every year. It's hard to know.
I agree.
Even what's it going to look like in 12 months? I don't even know. But, ideally we want to start a family. So I don't know.
That's a nice vision.
Yeah, something to look forward to. And then the hope is that, by moving some of our business to more of the product side of things, that we can leverage our time a bit better and not be so reliant on the kind of one-on-one work. I'm going to be relaunching Digital Strategy School again. It launches twice a year. Who knows how that will grow over the next 3 to 5 years? Will I still be doing that? Will it look different? Will I have other, mentors working with me? I'm sort of open to the possibilities. So.
Yeah, I think you have to remain open. Have a general, a big vision. I mean, I think you, like me, have this big vision, this big sense that you're meant to do something with your life, and like that pulls you forward. But then all the little things that maybe seem like detours or, sidetracks along the way, you just have to trust the timing of your life and that it's all moving in that direction of that big, bold vision.
Definitely agree. Yeah.
So lastly, you had mentioned that you had a popular blog post that you said people were saying that it was changing their lives. I need to hear more about that. And I know you also have a challenge related to that for the Clarity Confession viewers.
Yeah, it was kind of a crazy experience, but I wrote this blog post. I wrote it very fast. It kind of flowed out of me. It was all about how I designed my ideal week. And it was based on a post I read from Michael Hyatt. And he talks about theming your days of the week and time blocking. So it was kind of a simple time blocking post, but I showed a lot of behind the scenes of kind of how I make it work for me with really specific instructions and kind of here's how this looks in practice. And I shared it and people were like, oh my gosh, this is exactly what I've been needing. And it's probably driven more traffic to my site than anything else I've ever written. Within a month of writing it, I had an interview in my living room for a book on design leadership. And then I got asked to do a speaking gig in Toronto. So it led to so many random opportunities. So you never know where your work is going to lead you. I'm not necessarily known for my productivity or time management stuff. So it was kind of a weird thing to get known for. But anyway, It's been super useful. I wrote it on Medium, so I'm happy to include a link to it. But it's been kind of crazy what that led to. So I was going to challenge people to, read the post. And if you struggle with any kind of time management at all, I highly recommend reading it and trying it for yourself. Actually, what it comes down to is theming your days of the week. So for me, that looks like, Mondays and Wednesdays are mentorship days. And it's about blocking my time in such a way that if I'm sure a lot of people do this too. You have coaching days and maybe, content creation days because your brain, it's tough to switch gears, right? So kind of planning in tune with your energy and kind of how you best work. And it's been super useful for me for making, more time out of my weeks. So I would challenge viewers to go through it, try designing your ideal week based on this post and see if it changes anything for you.
Awesome. So after you read through that post, head on over to the Facebook group and let us know how that post and that information about designing your ideal week has changed you, your business, your life, or if there's any other takeaways that you want to share from this particular interview. I mean, Marie has been so generous with her time and her information. Let us know what has really stuck with you and helped you. And we're going to be selecting one commenter to receive Marie's ebook. So can you tell us more about the ebook that you're giving away?
Yeah, it's Think Like a Digital Strategist. I released it back in September, and it's for everyday business owners to get a little bit more strategic about how they're using their websites.
Perfect. I think we could all use a little bit of that. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Marie. Can you let everybody know where they can find that blog post and more information about you?
Yeah, you can go to mariepoulin.com. You can check out my blog. That's where you'll find there's a Design Your Ideal Week post on there. You can also find me on Medium as well. Sometimes I write slightly different articles on Medium than I'll write on my own website. And you can find me at digitalstrategyschool.com. And if you're thinking about launching an online course next year sometime, our platform is doki.io.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Marie. Everybody who's watching, make sure you head on over to Marie's site, check out what she's got going on, read that blog post. I know I'm going to head over there and read that blog post, and comment on the Facebook page so that you have a chance to win that amazing ebook that she's giving away. So thanks, Marie, and we'll catch you next time on the Clarity Confessions. Bye.